The moon did not explode. It shivered, and that was worse. At exactly 2:17 UTC, every deep space gravity sensor on Earth blinked red at the same time. The alert did not scream. It did not flash violently, it just changed color. Red. Dr. Lena Moreau stared at the lunar telemetry display in Lunar Control. Station 3. For 3 seconds, she believed it was a software glitch. Then, she reran the calculation. The moon had shifted. Not visually. Not dramatically, but mathematically. By 0.0027 degrees. That tiny movement meant something impossible had touched Earth's gravity well. Nothing natural could do that. Not a meteor, not a solar flare. Not even Jupiter. Lena whispered, "Run deep." Scan the AI, complied. No impact signatures. No radiation spikes. No propulsion trails. Just movement. Her stomach tightened, because gravity does not move without force, and force leaves fingerprints. But this force left none. High above Earth, Admiral Marcus Kane stood inside. Orbital Defense Platform Atlas. The massive window behind him showed Earth, turning peacefully below. Blue oceans, white clouds. Normal. Report, he said calmly. Lunar deviation confirmed, Lena replied through secure channel. Trajectory shift is controlled. This is not drift. Kane's jaw tightened slightly. Then deep space radar pinged again. Something had appeared. Beyond Jupiter. A sphere. Perfectly smooth. Metallic silver. Over 200 kilometers wide. No engine glow, no heat, no weapons. Arrays, just mass, and space around it, was bending Jupiter's orbit. Trembled, barely, but visibly. The sphere pulsed once, and Earth's gravity sensors spiked. The moon shifted again, this time slightly more. Across global networks, a transmission activated automatically. Text appeared in every language. No voice. No sound. You exist in unstable structure. We will correct the imbalance. The name attached to the signal translated as the Valari Dominion, an ancient civilization, masters of gravitational manipulation. They did not invade planets. They reorganized systems. Lena felt her throat go dry. If the moon continued to drift, tidal patterns would collapse first, then weather systems, then tectonic pressure. Within days, Earth would face global chaos, and there would be no bomb to shoot down, no fleet to intercept. Just gravity, Kane asks quietly. Estimated time to instability? 96 hours at current adjustment rate. Another pulse. Mars shifted half a kilometer in its orbit, just to prove they could. World leaders demanded negotiation. The Valari responded once more. Your species uses combustion to shape matter. You are inefficient. We will improve your configuration. They thought they were helping. Lena's eyes dropped to a classified tab on her console. Project Tidal Lock. Buried beneath the moon's crust. Never tested in full power. Built decades ago. In fear of exactly this scenario, the moon shifted again. Ocean models spiked dangerously. Kane stared at Earth for a long moment. They think we are primitive, he said quietly. They think we only know how to explode things. Another tremor passed through the lunar data feed. The moon shivered again. Lena's fingers hovered over the activation key. If she pressed it, there was no safe return. It would turn the moon from a passive satellite into something else. Something deliberate. Kane exhaled slowly. Wake it up. he ordered. Lena pressed the key. Deep beneath layers of lunar rock and dust, ancient magnetic rails began to hum. The moon did not glow. It did not flare, but inside mass began to move, slowly, carefully, like a giant waking from sleep. And somewhere beyond Jupiter, the Valari sphere paused off. For the first time, Earth was pushing back. The moon did not roar. It adjusted deep beneath its silent surface. Thousands of magnetic rails powered on one by one. Massive tungsten cores hidden in artificial tunnels shifted slowly, millimeter by millimeter. The moon was not just a rock, it was a lever. Dr. Lena Moreau watched the control interface glow amber. Tidal lock primary systems online. The AI confirmed. Her heart was racing, but her voice stayed calm. Begin Phase 1 redistribution. Inside the moon, dense mass blocks slid along vacuum-sealed tracks. Each movement was tiny, almost meaningless on its own. But gravity does not care about noise. It cares about weight, and the moon had a lot of weight. Beyond Jupiter, the Valari sphere pulsed again. Earth's ocean models spiked. Tidal pressure increased, 3% coastal. Evacuation warnings triggered automatically. Storm systems intensified over the Pacific. The Dominion was increasing output. They were tightening their grip. Phase 1 complete. Lena said. Begin counter-resonance. The moon shifted again. This time not as a victim, but as resistance. The redistributed mass created a subtle, gravitational counterwave. Small, precise, unstable by design. The Valari sphere flickered. For the first time, its gravitational lens oscillated instead of flowing smoothly. The Dominion transmitted again. Unrefined interference detected. Correction continues. 3 more spheres appeared. Near Saturn, near Neptune, near the inner orbit of Mercury. They formed a geometric pattern, perfect, elegant. Earth sat at the center. Lena's breath caught. They're triangulating Earth's orbit. If Earth shifted even slightly inward, runaway heating. Outward global freeze. Admiral Kane folded his arms. Then, we stopped being predictable. Lena understood immediately. The Valari relied on harmony. Clean calculations. Perfect gravitational balance. Humans could break harmony. She altered tidal lock algorithms. Instead of smooth correction, she injected randomness. Micro-fluctuations. Irregular pulses. Tiny unpredictable variations in mass distribution. The moon twitched slightly, in nonlinear rhythm. The Valari spheres attempted to compensate. Their fields rippled unevenly. Jupiter stabilized slightly. One sphere near Saturn lost 0.4% aligning. It wasn't much, but it was visible. The Dominion paused for 2.3 seconds. Before transmitting again, you introduce chaos into system structure. This is inefficient. Kane responded for the first time. Yes. He leaned closer to the microphone. And it works. Earth's rotation wobbled for a terrifying moment. Global news feeds filled with confusion. But the moon pushed back harder. Tidal lock increased. Redistribution speed. Heat levels rose inside the lunar core. Containment. Alarms began to glow orange. Lena wiped sweat from her forehead. If we push this further, the moon's interior stress levels will spike. Kane nodded once. Push it. The Valari spheres intensified output. Space itself looked distorted around Jupiter bars. Drifted further. Earth's orbit trembled visibly on simulation models. Tidal lock entered Phase 2. Mass drivers inside the moon fired in controlled bursts. Instead of resisting gently, the moon moved with force. A gravitational wave rippled outward from Earth's system. It hit the nearest Valari sphere. The silver surface cracked, not shattered, but cracked. For the first time, the Dominion transmission changed tone, instability. Exceeding predictor tolerance. Species behavior inconsistent with survival logic. Lena whispered quietly, "We don't follow survival logic." Kane smiled slightly. "We follow survival instinct." One Valari sphere withdrew a fraction, another flickered visibly. The Dominion was adapting, but so was humanity. The moon trembled again, not from being pushed, from pushing. Back core temperatures inside tidal lock crossed into dangerous yellow levels. Lena stared at the numbers. They were winning, but not safely. The Dominion sphere near Jupiter pulsed brighter than before. Its mass signature increased. They were not retreating. They were escalating, and for the first time, the sun's outer plasma began to ripple. Lena swallowed hard. They're preparing something bigger. Kane nodded slowly. Good. He stared at the moon, glowing softly in reflected sunlight. Because so are we. The sun flickered. Not visibly to human eyes, but to the senses. It trembled. That was the moment everyone understood this was no longer a demonstration. It was war. Dr. Lena Moreau stared at the solar feed in disbelief. The Valari spheres were no longer just pulling on Earth's orbit. They were touching the sun. Gravitational waves rippled across its surface, disturbing plasma currents that had remained stable for millions of years. Their increasing system-wide influence, she said quietly. Admiral Kane did not look surprised. They're tired of being resisted. The four Valari spheres shifted positions. Perfect geometry. Precise alignment. They began pulling not just on Earth, but on the entire inner solar system. Mercury's orbit adjusted. Venus wobbled. Mars drifted another kilometer outward. The solar system was becoming a tuning instrument, and the Valari were playing it. Earth's orbital stability dropped to 92%. Then 8-9. Global panic escalated. Religious leaders spoke of omens. Governments activated emergency continuity protocols. Stock markets closed worldwide. But inside, lunar control focused. Lena's eyes moved across the tidal lock. Interface. Core, temperature rising. Containment stress increasing. We can't match their precision long term, she admitted. Kane nodded. Then we stop matching it. She looked at him. What do you mean? He pointed to the solar model. They're treating this like surgery. Yes. So let's make it a bar fight. Lena understood instantly. If the Valari relied on elegant gravitational shaping, humans could flood the system with chaotic mass interaction. She accessed Phase 3 protocols. Emergency designation. Lunar slingshot. It had never been tested, not even in simulation at full scale. Because it was dangerous? Very dangerous. If we execute slingshot, she warned, the moon will shift faster than safe orbital tolerance allows. Kane's answer was immediate. Do it. Tidal locks surged. Every internal mass driver fired simultaneously. Deep inside the moon, tungsten cores accelerated along magnetic rails at extreme speeds. The moon shifted, not gently, not subtly, but violently. Earth's oceans rose in massive tidal surges. Coastal cities triggered red alert evacuations. Satellites tumbled from orbit. The moon temporarily moved closer then. Slingshotted outward in controlled imbalance. The gravitational shockwave exploded across the inner system. It hit the nearest Valari sphere like a hammer. The sphere's perfect silver surface fractured deeply this time. Large cracks spidered outward. Across its body, its gravitational field destabilized for the first time. The Valari sphere lost alignment entirely. Jupiter's orbit stabilized. Slightly, Mars' drift stopped. Earth's orbital stability returned to 93%. But the cost was visible. Tidal lock core temperature crossed into red. Containment fields flickered. Lena's hands trembled. We can't repeat that many times. Kane did not blink. We don't need many. The Valari transmitted again. The message no longer sounded confident. You risk systemic collapse. Your methods are irrational. Kane stepped forward. Yes. He allowed a small smile. That's why they work. The remaining 3 spheres changed formation. The largest one moved forward. It was twice the size of the others. Its gravitational signature dwarfed anything previously detected. It began focusing directly on Earth. Not Mars, not the Sun, just Earth. Lena felt a cold wave move through her chest. They're going to crush us. The sphere's mass distortion intensified. Earth's orbit dropped to 85% stability. Tidal lock alarms screamed. Containment stress critical. Lena looked at the moon. Outside the viewport, hairline fractures were forming on its surface. Moon was beginning to crack. We have one option left, she said quietly. Kane met her eyes. Final harmonic override. She nodded slowly. If we do that, we might win. And the cost? The moon may never be the same. Silence. The Valari flagship sphere pulsed brighter. Earth's gravity fluctuated dangerously. Time was almost gone. Kane inhaled deeply. Prepare. Override. The moon glowed faintly as every internal system reached maximum output, and for the first time the sun itself dimmed slightly. Gravity across the solar system screamed. The Valari were pushing everything, and humanity was about to push harder. The moon began to crack. Not explode. Not shatter. But crack. Thin silver fractures spread slowly across its surface like veins under skin. Inside lunar control, alarms screamed continuously. Core temperature, critical. Containment pressure, unstable. Structural integrity. Dropping. Dr. Lena Moreau stared at the numbers. This is the limit, she whispered. The Valari flagship sphere loomed near Jupiter's orbit. But its gravitational reach stretched across the system. It was no longer adjusting gently, it was compressing. Earth's orbit fell to 82%. Stability weather systems collapsed into violent chaos. Ocean tides surged without pattern. The planet groaned under invisible pressure. The Valari transmitted. Again, your instability is unsustainable. Cease resistance. Admiral Kane stood motionless. No. He turned to Lena. Final harmonic override. She hesitated for one heartbeat. Then, she pressed the command. Inside the moon. Every hidden mass driver activated at once. Not in sequence. Not in measured rhythm. All at maximum. The moon glowed faintly red from internal heat stress. Dense tungsten cores lammed across magnetic rails at extreme velocity, shifting enormous mass chunks in coordinated chaos. This was not defense. This was a punch. The moon's gravitational field amplified dramatically for 30 seconds. Earth's gravity surged outward in a violent wave. The shock hit the Valari flagship. Its elegant gravitational lens shattered instantly. Instead of smooth distortion, Space around it twisted erratically. The sphere tried to compensate. It failed its own gravity field, fed back into itself. Its internal mass distribution destabilized. For the first time, the flagship lost structural cohesion. Silver fractures ripped across its surface. Lena gasped. It's folding in on itself. The flagship sphere compressed unevenly. Its own gravitational force crushed its internal structure. One of the remaining Valari spheres retreated instantly. Another flickered violently. The third attempted emergency stabilization. The flagship imploded, not with flame dot, not with explosion, but with silent collapse. Its perfect surface crumpled inward. Then it vanished in a flash of warped space. Massive gravitational rebound wave blasted outward. It hit Earth like a distant earthquake. Tidal lock systems overloaded instantly. Containment fields shattered. Inside the moon, rail systems melted. Mass blocks jammed violently against tunnel walls. The moon's fractures expanded. For a terrifying moment, Lena thought it would split in half. Stabilize. Stabilize, she shouted. She rerouted remaining power to structural reinforcement. Fields. Minimal energy left. The moon shuddered, then slowed. The gravitational spike decreased. Earth's orbital stability climbed. 85%. 90%. 94%. The remaining Valari spheres stopped transmitting. They drifted backward. Their geometric formation dissolved. One final message appeared across global networks. You weaponize imbalance. You embrace destruction of harmony. Your species is unpredictable. Admiral Kane stepped forward. That's correct. Silence followed. The Valari spheres began retreating. One by one, they accelerated away from the inner system. A tear in space formed near Neptune, and they disappeared. The solar system fell quiet. No more gravitational spikes. No more distortion. Just normal physics inside lunar control. Lena collapsed back into her chair. Tidal lock was dead. Completely destroyed. Half of the moon's internal structure. Permanently damaged surface fractures, visible even from Earth. But Earth remained intact. Oceans still flowed. The planet still spun. Kane looked out at the moon, scarred, cracked, butthole. They tried to correct us, he said softly. And instead, we taught them something. Lena looked at the fractured lunar surface. What did we teach them? Kane allowed a small, tired smile. That humans don't need harmony. We just need leverage. Outside, the moon hung in space. Not perfect anymore, but still there. And that was enough. Victory was quiet. Too quiet. There were no celebrations in space. No cheers across the sky. Just silence. The Valari spheres were gone. The sun was stable. The planets returned to their slow, ancient paths. But the moon was wounded. From Earth, people could see it. Dark fracture lines ran across its surface like scars. News networks zoomed in on the damage. Social media filled with fear. Is it going to break apart? Is it still safe? Inside Luna, Control Station 3, Dr. Lena Moreau studied the structural models. The answer was simple. It will hold, she said. But it would never be the same. Project Tidal Lock was destroyed. Every mass driver tunnel inside the moon had melted or collapsed. The massive tungsten blocks were jammed permanently in place. The moon could no longer move by human command. It had fired once, and that was enough. Admiral Kane stood inside orbital. Platform Atlas and reviewed the Global Impact Report. Coastal flooding in 6 major regions. 3 minor tectonic shifts. Thousands displaced. Economic systems shaken. But civilization still stood. The Valari had wanted harmony. Humanity had chosen survival. Lena walked outside onto the observation platform. The moon hung enormous above her, its scarred surface glowing faintly in reflected sunlight. It looked different, now not smooth, not gentle. It looked like something that had fought and endured. A secure transmission signal flashed on. Kane's console, deep space origin, long distance, the Valari. He opened the message. No threats, no correction. Only this. Your species resists structural refinement. You destabilize equilibrium to preserve existence. This trait is dangerous. Kane read it twice, then responded with only 4 words. Yes. We know. The transmission ended. Weeks passed. Earth rebuilt coastal cities. Emergency. Shelters closed. Markets reopened. Scientists across the globe studied the data from the gravity war. One truth became clear. Humanity had not matched the Valari in precision. They had overwhelmed them with unpredictability. Lena reviewed simulation files again. If they return, a junior engineer asked her quietly, what do we do? We can't use tidal lock again. She smiled faintly. We won't need to. He looked confused. She pointed toward Earth. They now know we are willing to risk our own stability to survive. They survive. They won't underestimate that again. Across the solar system, monitoring satellites resumed their normal routines. Jupiter stable, Mars stable, Earth stable. The moon scarred but steady. Admiral Kane addressed the United Planetary Council one final time. They believed we would protect structure above all else, he said calmly. They believed harmony was sacred. He paused. They were wrong. We protect survival. And survival is not neat. Humanity had not proven itself stronger, not smarter, not more advanced. It had proven something else, that it could endure chaos, that it could use imbalance as a weapon, that it would risk everything rather than kneel quietly. Late one night, Lena stood alone under the fractured moon. She imagined the moment it burned, the moment it almost broke, and she felt something unexpected. Gratitude. The moon had not been destroyed. It had carried Earth through something impossible. It had absorbed the force of a civilization older than humanity itself, and it still hung there. Steady, scarred, unbroken, in deep space. Far beyond Neptune, Valari records updated Earth's system classification. Not primitive, not unstable, but marked with a single word in their language. Unpredictable. And in their calculations, unpredictable systems were too expensive to correct. Earth was no longer a target. It was a risk, and humanity returned to rebuilding, not because it was over, but because that was what humans always did. They adapt, they repair, they prepare. And if gravity ever trembled again, they would be ready. Space was quiet again. Too quiet, no distortion. No gravitational waves. No silver spheres bending reality. The solar system moved the way it had for billions of years. But something had changed. Earth was no longer unnoticed. Far beyond Neptune, inside a region humans could not yet reach. The Valari Dominion reviewed their loss. The flagship had collapsed under its own gravitational feedback. 2. Additional spheres were damaged beyond repair. They had not expected resistance. They had expected correction. They had encountered defiance. In their archives, Earth received a new classification: unstable, volatile, dangerous, back on Earth. Life continued. Coastal cities rebuilt stronger foundations. New seawalls rose along damaged shores. Global research networks began studying gravity manipulation at deeper levels, not to copy the Valari, but to prepare Admiral Marcus. Kane stood for the last time inside Orbital Defense Platform Atlas before stepping down from command. The moon filled the viewport behind him, scarred, cracked, but still there. A reporter once asked him later, "Were you afraid the moon would break?" Kane had answered honestly, "Yes. And you did it anyway?" He smiled slightly. "Yes. Because?" That was the difference. The Valari valued perfection. Humans valued survival. They did not mind cracks. They did not fear scars. Dr. Lena Moreau became the lead scientist for the new Lunar Restoration Initiative. She knew tidal lock would never function again. That was fine. It had done what it needed to do. She often stood on the observation platform at night. The moon looked different now, but it felt stronger. It had carried Earth through the impossible, and Earth had carried the moon. Together. One night, a young intern asked her softly, "Do you think they will come back?" She looked at the scarred lunar surface and answered carefully, "Not soon." Why? Because they now know something important. What's that? Lena smiled faintly. That we are willing to break our own balance to protect ourselves. Deep space sensors continued scanning. Nothing returned. But humanity changed. New orbital defense platforms were constructed. Not weapon platforms, but gravity analysis, E-rays. Better sensors, faster response systems, and most important, better coordination. The world had nearly fractured, under pressure, but it had held together. That mattered. Humanity did not celebrate loudly. There were no parades for gravity, but something subtle spread across the planet. Confidence, not arrogance, not pride, just quiet understanding. They had stood against a civilization that shaped stars and survived. The moon remained scarred in the sky, a reminder, a warning, a promise, somewhere far beyond human sight. Valari strategists studied Earth's data again. One line stood out in their final assessment. Species exhibits high instability tolerance. Engagement costs exceeds acceptable correction parameters. In simpler words, too risky. Too unpredictable, not worth it. Earth had not become the most powerful system in the galaxy. It had become the most troublesome, and in the cold logic of ancient empire, trouble is expensive. Years later, children would grow up looking at the cracked moon in school textbooks. They would ask, "What happened?" And teachers would say, "The moon once fought." They would explain that humans turned gravity into a weapon. That they risked everything. That they nearly broke their own world to save it. And those children would understand something simple. Humanity is not perfect. Humanity is not elegant. Humanity is not stable. But humanity does not yield. The sky above Earth returned to silence. The oceans calmed. The sun burned steady, and the moon scarred, unbroken, watched over it all. Because when the universe tried to rearrange, Earth rearranged the fire. And from that day forward, the galaxy knew. Do not try to correct humans. They correct back.